dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here. Yeah, looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. We need more dogs.
And welcome back to Shaving Points Podcast. My name is Jayton May, joined as always by my co-host Quentin Crisco, and we're here to talk about the Luka Doncic trade.
That's all we're here to talk about is Luka to LA.
Luka to LA, De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio.
Boom.
No, but you know what time it is. It's Prop-A-Palooza time. It's Super Bowl week. We're going to break down all of our favorite bets for Super Bowl and talk about the Super Bowl game for a little bit, how we think it's going to go. And then there's thousands of props to take, and we think we have taken the right ones.
Literally an unlimited supply of prop bets. But first, like Jay said, let's jump into this game. And I saw a tweet today from Dave Klug that summed this up perfectly for me.
The Klugmeister is what some people call him.
The Klugmeister himself. The Eagles are the better team on both sides of the ball. They have one of the league's best running back and wide receiver duos. Their quarterback is tailor-made for their offense. Their offensive line is inarguably the best in the NFL. Their defensive line wrecks game plans, and their young secondary is fantastic. KC minus 1.5. Lock it up.
Yeah, so they're better everywhere except the quarterback and the coaching position and kicker.
Yeah.
3 things that show up big time in playoff games.
Yeah. I mean, and I was listening to some different takes on this game today, and it's like it's clear as day. The data says the Eagles should be favored in this game, but they're not. There are no numbers that you can really throw out there. There's no way you can manipulate it or make it look like the Chiefs should be favored on paper, because they shouldn't be. But Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, like, that is it. That is what makes this one so difficult to actually handicap. Like, why on earth? Like, if you sat down with a casino and asked their head of like sports book, show me the math why Kansas City's favored in this game.
They'll just print you off a picture of number 15.
Right. They couldn't actually put on paper why Kansas City's favored in this game, but we all know why.
Yeah. Wasn't that the same way the Cowboys Bills was back in the 90s? If I remember correctly, like, everybody was like, everything says the Bills should be favored in this game. Why aren't they favored in this game? And it was like one of the biggest wins in Vegas history because so many people took the Bills.
Probably. I mean, that sounds
right.
right.
I'm almost positive, and it was an absolute blowout. Like one of the biggest blowouts.
The value is undoubtedly on Philly in this game, but like, I can't take the value play. I just feel like I can't.
Yeah. So another thing, we've talked about it all year, is the Kellen Moore situation there in Philadelphia. And I don't think he has necessarily elevated them in any particular way. I mean, I think he's managed a phenomenal roster just fine. But we were talking about it preseason. We talked about it during the season. Like, there's going to be a time where they're going to be put in a position, because, like, you look back through their season and they were, like, really never in a bad spot to where, like, play calling could really, like, fuck them. I mean, they lost the Atlanta game where they throw the 4th and 1 to Saquon, and everybody's like, why not just run the ball with Saquon? It's 1 yard. But at the same time, he was wide open, and you go out and you pay the number 1 running back in free agency to catch that ball.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you went out and paid the number 1 running back in free agency. Why not just hand him the rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that was maybe one of the few times throughout the year where you could see, like, the Kellen Moore factor play in. So I wonder if they make a mistake early and they go down, let's say 10-0 in the first quarter. If if they shit the bed and start getting super predictable and find themselves in a giant hole. That's what I'd be worried about if I was a Philly fan right now.
You see, if I'm not even that worried about that, I feel like in the first half of these games, talent tends to win out. Like I think that Philly will come out pretty strong in this game.
Oh, I think they will too. I'm just speaking hypothetically.
Yeah, I got you. But like the way I see it going, I think Philly might take a first half lead in this game. But I think late in the game, you're going to see some of their rookie cornerbacks lose their legs a little. Like we are talking about a 5-hour football game. We are talking about playing 2 games in one night, essentially, with a 45-minute halftime that these guys are not used to. Both these teams have been here recently. But when I look at the rosters, Philly has more guys like a Jordan Davis, a Jalen Carter, a Quinyon Mitchell, a Cooper DeJean, even a Reed Blankenship, who haven't played in this game that they're counting on, that I think in the fourth quarter, that's going to matter. I think that's going to be what the difference in this game is, while KC has more continuity of guys or veterans who know how to pace themselves a little better throughout the game to carry into the second half.
Yeah, so what is this? This is Andy Reid's 7th Super Bowl coached. 2 with Philly, 4 with Kansas City. Or did they just go to
Philly? 1 with Philly.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Just the Terrell Owens year?
Yep.
And like 17 NFC championship games?
Yeah, like every single year NFC championship.
I thought they went to 2 for some reason, but yeah. A lot of experience on the KC side. I mean, veteran team. I mean, and then even their guys that haven't been there are veteran players. When you look at guys like DeAndre Hopkins,
who stuff like is highly questionable in what he can even do in this game with his injury, but he's going to be out there.
Yeah, and I mean, what was it? They got Mr. Drops a lot of touchdown a couple of years ago. Or was that last year? Kadarius Toney, they got him a touchdown, called that out. They love scheming up plays for guys they go out and get mid-season and be like, that's why we got him, to catch one pass in the Super Bowl for a touchdown.
Yeah, really. I mean, it'll be fun. I don't know. I have a weird feeling. Like, this is the first time since we've been doing this podcast that I don't have a strong hunch of how this game script is going to play out and what players are going to be able to really have success through it. Like I feel like most years we have a pretty convicted feeling, and this year I the only feeling I have is that this is going to be an ugly bloodbath of a game with defensive battles. But I'm not confident that means the under. I'm just confident it's going to be a physical, mean football game that might not be the prettiest thing to watch.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a dominant performance from somebody. Kind of like what we saw when Gronk. Did Gronk catch 2 or 3 touchdowns in that?
In 2018?
Tampa. Yeah, that Tampa Bay.
In Tampa. I don't remember.
I know it was more than 2 because I bet him for 2. And it was a huge payout. And I want to say he got 1 more, and I was like, I should have done 3. But it was, and going into that game, it kind of felt like this because you were like, you didn't really know what was going to happen. You knew that 2 great defenses, 2 great quarterbacks, and quarterback level isn't really on par for this game, but I think we could see the emergence of somebody, and I don't know what side it's going to be on. It could be the Kansas City Chiefs defense. It could be Philly's defense. It could be a tight end. It could be Xavier Worthy catching 12 balls for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns.
You know what my gut's screaming at me?
Juju.
No, AJ. I really I just, and this could just be like bias from being a kid during the Eagles Super Bowl against the Patriots, but like I just get big Terrell Owens on the losing team with 160 yards vibes.
Wow. I'll take it if it's on the losing team.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I get the Terrell Owens vibes of it. Of like, you do not get to the Super Bowl to not use A.J. Brown. Same with Saquon Barkley. Like, they both need to see a lot of touches, a lot of opportunities in this game.
So, if they're struggling early and A.J. Brown's not getting touches, are we worried about him blowing up if you're an Eagles fan?
Will he have his self-help book with him on the sideline or no?
I don't think they allow that in the stadium.
Then yeah, it just might happen.
Well, this Eagles team is so good from top to bottom, and if you're an Eagles fan, you got the most unlikely.
I just want the record to show for the first time this year, Jay has admitted the Eagles are good.
I did
Any
not.
Eagles fans
I said
watching?
I said the
that's
rosters
a lot.
good.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, so if you're an Eagles fan, you got the most unlikely Super Bowl of all time with a Nick Foles led Eagles team against Tom Brady, where Nick Foles went out there and fucking won the thing. It wasn't like your defense played great and he did just enough. He went out there and balled out. Like, we'll never see anything like that again, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, that was a once in a lifetime.
And now you're in a spot for maybe the second time. It's the first time around, it was arguable who the better team was on paper. I think it's clear cut this time. Like, if you're an Eagles fan, it would be hard for me not to just unload everything on Saquon props, on Eagles money line, on team total overs, on winning the quarters and everything. And I think you'll be in for a very, very bad night if you do that.
Now, one thing that is interesting here to me is the Eagles defensive coordinator knows the Chiefs very well. Vic Fangio was the Broncos head coach for 3 years. So he saw the Chiefs twice a year, game plan for them twice a year. He knows them well, and that's something that is a little bit different of a wrinkle in this Super Bowl than we've seen in recent history, as far as this defense coordinator being so well acquainted with the Chiefs.
But I feel like the Chiefs are a different team. For one, they're a different team every year. And Andy Reid has the ability to be a different team every week.
That's true. I mean, that's very true. And I mean, I've got the numbers here. It's not like Vic was a stalwart for the Chiefs. It's not like he was constantly stopping them. He held them down. Like last year, Miami, he held them to 21 points. Held them under 25 quite a few times. So like that, he did have some success against them, but he also had some struggles with giving up 30, 43, 28. So
yeah,
it's not like it's a obvious like Vic has been a thorn in their side, but he has had some success. Like a 21-14 against Miami last year. That is a good defensive game against the Chiefs.
Yeah. And if you're an Eagles fan, it's got to bring you at least a little bit of promise, I guess, is the word, that the best game your quarterback's ever played was against this team in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And now you're like, if he can just do that again, we have Saquon. So before we get into props, what do the Eagles need to do to win this game? Turn over Patrick Mahomes, control the ball, and get A.J. Brown going? Is that what you think?
A.J. Brown needs to be that dude. Like you need ball winner A.J. Brown to win some toss-up footballs. You need to make the Chiefs pay for blitzing when they blitz. You need Saquon to bust off some big runs when they're blitzing and stuck in man coverage. Like, you need to scare them away from man coverage.
I needed to win the turnover battle.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a, generic one just in any given game. But
I feel like the Chiefs could lose the turnover battle and still win this game, though.
Yeah, they could.
So I don't feel like that's like a generic statement. Just like it is a generic statement, but I feel like if neither team turns the ball over in this game, I like the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win the turnover battle, I like the Chiefs. If the Eagles force one turnover, I might still like the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that's you got to get the ball a couple of times, and if the Chiefs win the turnover battle, I absolutely like the Chiefs. But okay, so what do the Chiefs need to do to win this game? Because it's like their offensive line hasn't been great, played better through the playoffs, but still not great. Patrick Mahomes, we know, will run the ball in the playoffs, will take off with his legs, threaten you with his legs. Andy Reid's play calling in the playoffs always elevates. But who are we looking at on the Chiefs to really make a difference here? Is it the Travis Kelce show? Is it Xavier Worthy? Is it Juju going out there and catching 8 or 9 balls? Is it the combination of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco? What do the Chiefs need to do here? Chris Jones need to get going, get a couple of sacks, maybe.
It's the Chiefs O-line. Their O-line. They need to force Vic into blitzing. If they can get Vic to start blitzing, the Chiefs are going to move the football. But if they cannot stop the 4-man rush with their, it is a makeshift O-line. Like, Joe Thuney rules, but Joe Thuney is playing tackle when he should be playing guard, and the guy they have at guard is not that good, and he's going to be lining up. Like, if I'm Vic, I'm lining up Jalen Carter right in his face every single snap he's on the field.
Yeah. No, it's interesting for sure, because it's like you think the Chiefs will find a way, but how do they find that way? It's kind of where I'm sitting at.
Yeah,
like, who do they go through to find that way?
As far as a skill position player, because I guess where I was going with that was like, I think the O-line needs to be able to force
step
them
up
into blitzing, but
yeah,
who they actually go
player,
to, I don't know if there's any individual player on the Chiefs that needs to go off. I think they just need a consistent level performance across the board.
And Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, like they have the ultimate equalizer at quarterback. Like that is the point of it, right? I mean, maybe there's one guy who does go off. I don't know who that is, and if I could predict it, Vic Fangio could probably predict it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone in their skill personnel who's that talented that if they said we're stopping this guy, they're not stopping him.
Yeah. So you don't think there's an X factor that nobody's talking about, like the Chiefs are so deep, but not deep at the same time, that you can name like the fourth person, and you're like, oh, I could see it happening. Like, where's Kareem Hunt on the list of guys on this team? Or
are you trying to get me to say Justin Watson?
I wasn't, but I know you want to. I know you want to.
No, I am not betting Justin Watson this year.
But would you be surprised?
Watch, he's going to go off because it's the 1 year I'm not betting him.
He's going to have 3 catches for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He's been every single Super Bowl, he's like an inch away from getting a bomb and just
Who's their other tight end?
What's his name? He kept catching touchdowns.
The other white guy. They also have Peyton Hendershot, who used to play for the Cowboys. Who is their third tight end. And I'm like, I almost want to see Peyton Hendershot go out there and get him one.
Let's see. It's Noah Gray.
Noah Gray, yeah. Noah Gray's going to go out there and catch like 3 balls for 3 touchdowns and like 8 yards.
Honestly, I bet you Juju's the guy who has
I
the
like
best game amongst the
Juju.
pass catchers for them. I mean, I could see it being Kelce just because I think there is you get enough Toradol in anyone, they're gonna start acting like they're 23 again. But
And I don't even know if it's Toradol or if it's just like he's got enough in the tank to show up in a big game.
yeah,
And he showed up in the first playoff game, second playoff game. Didn't really have to as much. I mean, they were able to control the ball. Juju had a great game. They ran the ball well. And I felt like the Bills made it a point to like not give Kelce the easy stuff. And then the Chiefs were like, okay, well, you're just going to leave our receivers open. You're going to leave run lanes open. Like, we're going to take them. So it's one of those things where it's like Kelce will be there if you need him. But if you focus in on Kelce, it's almost like, okay, now we're playing 10 on 9 because you got 2 people on Kelce.
I have a question for you. As a Cowboys fan, you should be,
fan, by the
as
way.
a former Cowboys fan, you should be pretty well versed in understanding what you're facing against the Eagles offense, right? It's very, I don't want to say gimmicky, but it's very like, it's like a locomotive, right? It just like keeps chugging.
Eagles
small
offense
small amounts. How do you disturb that? How do you disturb the machine that is the Eagles offense?
You get them into 2nd and 8 and 3rd and 8. Don't let them get chunk plays on first down. Dak Prescott is a king at beating the Eagles. I know Eagles fans don't want to hear it. Dak Prescott always beats the Eagles. That's how it happens. They run on first down. You hold them to 2 yards, and if you can do that, then they throw on 2nd down. If you can manage an incompletion, get them to 3rd and 8, get Jalen Hurts, basically a pass only situation, maybe a run option, but I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to limit chunk yards on first down. If you can get them on a loss on first down, if you can hold them to 1 or 2 yards, and then especially with Kellen Moore there, Kellen Moore will start shitting down his leg if he's having 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7, shit like that. That's where you can thrive as a defense against a Kellen Moore run offense because his entire philosophy basically is 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3. So if Kellen Moore can run a game plan 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3, he's gonna beat you 9 times out of 10. It's getting him into 2nd and 11s, 3rd and 8s, stuff like that. That's really going to throw him off his game plan and really be able to
get the Mickey
to win against that offense. Yes.
Now, the Chiefs were the 9th ranked offense this year in rush success rate on first down. So they were a top 10 run defense on first down by success rate at least.
Tap covered,
which is promising. Ooh, wreck 'em. But that's interesting because I wonder. I wish I don't know if I should be saying this on air, but I wish I watched some more Kansas City tape before we came on to get a feel for what their defense does on first down, because Spags rotates those linebackers in such an interesting way where they get heavy, they get light, they get such a variety of players out there.
I didn't break it down, but I felt like a good comp would be to go watch what the Chiefs did against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Chargers want to play a lot like the Chargers want to play like Philly plays. They just don't have the talent. Makes sense. I mean, Philly has the better quarterback. If you're comparing the Chargers and Philadelphia, definitely have the better quarterback. I might give the Chargers the edge on running back. But real similar teams. Build on the offensive line. Run early, run often. Philly has the better quarterback there, so I don't know. I feel like those Chargers games might be a good
gauge.
Good gauge of what to watch, though.
Interesting. Now, I'm also really curious to see how Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens look in this game, specifically Landon Dickerson, because it looked like he tore an MCL or something last week the way he was moving. I'm not a doctor.
Well, he was even supposed to play, though, wasn't he?
Cam Jurgens wasn't supposed to play until Landon Dickerson hurt his knee.
Yeah.
And Landon Dickerson looked like he couldn't move
And
laterally.
then they moved Landon to center, and then they moved him, and then
he left the game
back.
Yeah. Jurgens came in when Dickerson left the game because he literally he could not move laterally, which is why I say it looked like he tore a ligament in his knee and was playing through it.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm not a doctor. Don't assume that I'm right on that.
Dr. Q. But yeah, I mean, Philly should win this game. If you're a Philly fan, you should be so confident going into this game. I'm taking the over. I think both offenses find ways to get it done here. I think especially if they start scoring early, we could see the floodgates open. So I'm taking the over, and I'm taking Kansas City -1.5.
Now, part of me thinks we see Philly take a 2-score lead in the first half. And I think
is that a 2-score lead, like a 9-point lead, or is that like a 14-point lead?
No, like 9-10.
Okay.
I don't know if they hold it into halftime, but if Philly is going to win this game, they need to win by 2 scores. Because if it's a 1-score game down the stretch, Pat Mahomes is going to find a way.
So Philadelphia, I think you can get that block like 8-14, 8-13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where I'm going with it. Like, I think if you are wanting to bet the Eagles, I would bet some alt spreads at over like 9 at Eagles -9 or higher. Or that block, like you said, that 8-13, whatever it is. But ultimately, I do think Kansas City roars back in the second half and ends up winning this thing. I think it's just going to be a bloodbath of a game. Like, I think it's going to be 2 teams pounding the shit out of each other.
Pause. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you kind of explained it perfectly when we were talking before we got on. It's going to be a defensive slugfest that's high scoring. That I could absolutely see that. I could see 2 defenses playing great, a couple big plays, and then chipping away at each other. So we could see like 3 big plays that already put you at 21 points. And then just chipping away and getting a couple more touchdowns in there. I really, really like this over. But yeah, I'm so
we're seeing all the models again. Vegas's total here is higher than what any of the math says it should be, except for one of these models has it at 50. The others all have it like 43 or 45. And usually these are pretty close to the Vegas numbers. Like, so again, Vegas is kind of winging something here with the math.
Yeah.
Which Super Bowls I think tend to be higher scoring. That could be that's probably part of it here. But
the most money I've ever bet on touchdowns, props, and overs was Rams Patriots in 2020.
2018, I think.
So was it 18?
Yeah, when it was like 17-7 or something, or like 14-7,
13-3,
13-3. Yeah,
it was something like that. Rams didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah,
I remember that. Good Lord. Jared Goff's the GOAT. Yeah, so I'm hoping we don't get another repeat of that. And I want to see a good game. I do. So I'm excited. But okay, so let's get into some props. This Prop-A-Palooza week. We're already 30 minutes in. We haven't even got into Prop-A-Palooza yet. So when you're looking at Prop-A-Palooza, starting at some Russian props. What do you like there?
I'm betting Mahomes over 29.5 rush yards.
I also have that.
I mean, I
Can
think
you put a little J beside that for me?
yeah.
J.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just an easy one right now in the playoffs. It's, you gotta leave it all out on the field. Like it's the Super Bowl. What's that
Yeah.
from? That's like from a movie or something, right? Gotta leave it all out.
Oh, Waterboy.
Yeah.
The last game of the year. Got to leave it all out on the field. I have Jalen Hurts over 40.5 rushing yards as well. I think both quarterbacks are going to have to use their legs here to have success in this game. So I'm not taking any other rushing props. I looked at Xavier Worthy, I think over 3.5 yards. Some of the Chiefs receivers, I think you can find value in because they're gonna run some of those wide receiver screens. But Saquon's number is so high that it gives me a little caution.
Yeah.
And then you look at the AFC Championship game. It's like, who's going to get it? Is it going to be Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco? Gives me pause there as well. But I think both quarterbacks do everything they can to get it done on the legs. So I like both quarterbacks over on rushing. That's about it.
Yeah, and then looking at receiving, as you can see, I'm running a ladder on AJ Brown. I'm going AJ Brown 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 plus receiving yards, all at varying odds. Like I said earlier, you don't get to the Super Bowl to not use AJ Brown. They're going to give him plenty of chances in this game. I think the last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he had 96 yards. Like I think you should be seeing something like that again at least.
Yeah. And then so I have, let's see here. I have D-Hop over 33 yards. I think he gets a couple of catches and gets to that number. I
also have Hopkins. I have him over 25 yards. I got that at plus 192 a week ago. Because
I don't know. I have it in a parlay, so I don't know the odds were on it. But then I also have Juju over 3 catches. Love that one. And I have Devonta Smith over 4.5 catches. I think I like Devonta Smith in this game more than AJ Brown. So one of us is either going to be right or wrong. I guess we could both be wrong technically, but
I mean, so I've hedged that with a little bit with I have Devonta Smith most receiving yards at plus 600. I just thought that was good value. He's too good a receiver to have plus 600 for that.
yeah.
And then I also did Travis Kelce. I did a little ladder. I'm not as confident in this one as AJ. I feel like I'm running a risk here by doing it for Kelce, but it's just Kelce.
I feel like doing the ladder for Kelce. I feel like if he gets 60, he'll get 80, which is like my only issue with like running ladders.
Yeah,
it's like I think if he gets going, he's gonna end up around the 100 mark.
Yeah.
So that's my thing with Kelce. It's like, do you run a ladder with somebody like that, or do you just say, if he gets that much, he's gonna get more?
Yeah, like I said, it's not my favorite. I just threw that in there a week ago, and I was like, when I was still trying to feel out what I really wanted, and it was like, it's Kelce in the Super Bowl. History says he's gonna get his.
So Kelce in the Super Bowl. If we're gonna talk about receiving props, I have Kelce to get 2 touchdowns. I have D-Hop to catch a touchdown. Big on D-Hop in this game. I have Calcaterra to catch a touchdown for the Eagles. And then I have Goddard as well. I think those tight ends are going to be – I like tight ends in this game. And then I also have – I don't know if you want to put this on receiving or miscellaneous, but I have Devonta Smith first touchdown.
I like that, actually. I like that a lot. I might jump on Devonta Smith first touchdown with you.
And if you want to put on rushing, I also have Mahomes first touchdown.
Okay.
All right.
Put that up towards the top.
So yeah, I kind of did my TDs there as well.
Yeah, I also
what do
have
you like for
Travis.
anytime TDs?
I got Travis Kelce anytime TD and D Hop anytime TD. I'm scared
So
of
we're
any
both there
Eagles
on that.
of most of the Eagles TD props just because tush push, man. Like I mean, like we said earlier, their offense is just a machine that gets down to the 1 yard line and then just pushes it
And
in.
everything's so inflated with Saquon, it's hard. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was looking more around the 12-yard line because once they get inside the 10, it's really hard. But I think they'll score a couple touchdowns around the 12 to 15-yard line, and that's where tight ends shine. So that's why I like Goddard and Calcaterra.
Now, do you think Spags gets some inspiration from Dan Quinn and Frankie Louvu and says, fuck them? just jump over that line.
Yeah, until they what did they call like?
I'm just saying, try it at least once. Just being like,
Yeah.
Just going to.
Well, maybe Chris Jones just says you're not going to push me. Then Chris Jones pushes the entire touch push back.
Maybe.
He's like, I got a sack. Everybody's seen it on national television. All right. So what do you like for defense in this game?
I like a trio of Eagle sacks. I like a Moro Ojomo over a quarter of a sack, which means a half sack. Like I get paid out for a half sack there at plus 377. That just felt like value for a guy who's been a quality.
I didn't see any quarter sack, so that's actually a nice prop because you get credit for a half sack. That's a nice little return.
Well, especially Jalen Carter creates so much pressure without getting the sacks that one of these other guys is probably going to get one. So I did Milton Williams as well, another guy who's eaten this year off of Jalen Carter and has had a nice year in his own right. And then Jalen Carter over a quarter sack at plus 121. And then I also had to throw Chris Jones in there. I thought about doing George Karlaftis as well, and maybe, but then I was like, once I'm getting into too deep on the Chiefs, it's like, well, I got to do them all because they have so many guys.
Karlaftis he plays well in the playoffs. So I have a Chris Jones sack, I have a Jalen Carter sack, and I have a Trent McDuffie interception. I thought about taking Jalen Hurts to throw a pick, and I just couldn't get down with the odds. And I'm like, if somebody gets one, I think it's going to be Trent McDuffie. So I just threw it on him. I want to say it was around plus 700-ish. Don't know exactly, though. Let me see. I could probably find it. Oh, it doesn't give me the odds here. Let me click on it. Plus 58 or plus 580, 10 to 158. So
plus 580, which when I look at that and compare it to my Moro Ojomo, at least half a sack at plus 377.
377. That's great odds.
Ojomo has gotten sacks this year.
Yeah, well, that's the curse of living in Texas. My odds are limited.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
All right. So we did rushing, receiving, TDs, defense. Do you have any miscellaneous props? Some Kendrick Lamar for us, maybe?
I've got Chiefs to record the most punts. I think that's at plus 175. I was shocked by that because the Eagles go for it on fourth down so much. I don't expect them to punt as much as the Chiefs. I expect them maybe to get stopped on fourth down here or there.
Yep.
But I don't expect them to punt as often. And then over 2.5 players to attempt a pass. Andy Reid might have some.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. I'm going to see if I can find that one.
At plus 200. I meant to look at some Kendrick Lamar props earlier today, and I forgot to. So let me pull those up as we're going through it too, because I'm sure I could wiggle some out.
Also, funny wrinkle to this game. Drake will be basically as far as humanly possible away from New Orleans when this game goes on, as he booked the show in Australia while the Super Bowl is being played. So while everybody is blasting, not like us, the entire United States and probably a good portion of Europe that are staying up late or waking up early. I don't know how that time works for the Super Bowl. He's going to be down in Australia.
All right, I'm throwing $1 on a kick to hit the uprights at plus 550.
Doink!
Yeah, so it's called doink.
Is it plus 1,500 if it's a double doink?
I wish. And then a blocked punt at plus 1,800.
Okay.
I feel like this is one of those weird games where you're going to see stuff like that.
Okay. I'm really close to betting a defensive touchdown. I think it was like plus 2,800 last time I looked. I definitely think we could see a defensive touchdown in this game. I do have Chiefs to win the coin toss. I was going to pick heads or tails, but I don't think they do heads or tails, even though the prop is available, because I'm almost positive they do, like, they either do the Super Bowl logo and like the stadium, or they do both teams on the coin. And I didn't want to be confused or lose because of a technicality. So I just took Chiefs to win the coin toss. So that could, who wins the coin toss. You don't have to look into semantics for that one. And then I have overtime. Chiefs have played 20% of their playoff games have gone to overtime. And at plus 850, I feel like that's pretty good odds.
I don't see any Kendrick Lamar props. I like the overtime one though. I'm gonna jump on that with you. I like that one.
Yeah. I took it a couple years ago to hit. Basically saved me because I had a horrible Prop-A-Palooza that year. Prop-A-Palooza last year is pretty good. I ended up about 4-1 on bets placed versus return. And I think I did just a little bit better than breaking even whenever they went to overtime. So,
yeah. Prop-A-Palooza has been pretty profitable for us the last 4 years. So,
no, Prop-A-Palooza has been fantastic. My best Prop-A-Palooza was hitting like 17-1. Gronk 2 touchdowns a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and the Bucks, and I that basically carried me to like almost doubling my money off of that one prop. I think the over hit in that game just because the Bucks just scored so much.
Probably. I mean, they were just breaking it in.
Yeah, but yeah, I know the Gronk bet specifically dug me out of a hole in that one, but let me see if I have anything else. I don't think so. What you got?
Who are the 5 best football players in this game?
Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, I think, are the clear-cut top 3.
Okay.
And then I would put probably Jalen Carter next. And then Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson. Okay. No AJ.
Is AJ Brown better at his position than any of these people?
No, you're right.
Chris Jones, Jalen Carter are by all metrics, both easily top 5.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, most people would say AJ, but like that's disrespectful to Lane. You're right.
Lane Johnson's the best right tackle in the league.
Yeah.
Benes will argue about that as you will. I mean, he's either 1A or 1B.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
AJ Brown.
And we were a show who's talked all last year about how we thought Penei Sewell was probably the best offensive tackle in the NFL. I think we slighted Lane Johnson in that discussion because I think Lane Johnson deserved more credit.
Saquon Barkley is number 1 running back in the league. Chris Jones, Jalen Carter 1A, 1B for DTs in the league. Pat Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Lane Johnson, 1A, 1B at right tackle. I don't know if I would have A.J. Brown as a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah. Okay, so
He's definitely top 10. He's somewhere between 6 and 10.
now, who are the 5 most important players in this game?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Who? So that's hard because it just depends on game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Trip McDuffie. Let's say. I feel like most important all go to the Chiefs, though.
Why is that?
Because I think the talent is so far higher.
The Eagles have a wider margin for error on an individual basis.
Yeah. So guys like who's the right tackle for the Chiefs?
Jawan Taylor.
Jawan Taylor is always jumping off sides. I feel like he's got to have a big game here.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's super important in this game. Travis Kelce, I feel like on the Eagles side, it's like if pick any player, it's like if they don't have a good game, somebody else is there to step up. It's like the Chiefs don't have that. So it's like Jawan Taylor has to play well because like if the Eagles center, whoever plays center for the Eagles, doesn't step up, it's like Mekhi Becton's still there and he's 6'7", 365 pounds. He'll help cover some of that loss. Let's put Jawan Taylor on there. He's been shaky. He's got to be important to that game. Let's put Jalen Hurts on here, actually. He can't be having a fumble. He played his best game of his career against the Chiefs last time, and his fumble could possibly have been the reason why they lost that game.
Yeah.
For 5, what do you think?
Reed Blankenship.
Yeah? Or Zach Bond?
The Commanders went right at Reed Blankenship over and over and over in the NFC Championship. They lost, but like they kept picking up first downs on Reed Blankenship defending Zach Ertz.
Yeah, you could almost put just Philly DBs in here. The defensive back unit for Philly. Because, I mean, they played well, but, I mean, like you said, it's a 5-hour game. They're young, and they're going against everybody's veterans. And then you have 5 veteran players and Xavier Worthy.
All right. 5 most important units, non-QB.
Units, Chiefs O-line. Philly DBs. Let's say Philly special teams. They've had a little bit of issues there.
I like that.
Philly's linebackers. And let's go Chiefs running backs.
Ooh.
You gotta get something going between your two guys there. If you're Kansas City.
Most important play caller, offensive or defensive?
Important or impactful? Because I feel like Kellen Moore could have the biggest impact in this game, and if he does, it's going to be a negative impact.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think Kellen Moore is going to win this game for you. I think Kellen Moore could lose this game for you.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
And Andy Reid is calling plays for Kansas City. He's not going to lose the game for you. Vic Fangio is the defensive play caller for Philly. He's not going to lose the game for you, I don't think. And Spags isn't going to lose the game for you as a defensive play caller for Kansas City. So the biggest wild card is Kellen Moore in this situation, I think.
Okay.
Saquon. One. I think this can only be Saquon and Patrick Mahomes.
So this was the 5 most likely players to be named MVP. So you're going Saquon and Fat Pat?
Yeah, and if you have to name 5, you have to throw Jalen Hurts in there. And then let's throw Jalen Carter in there. I think he could have a game to win this. And then let's throw... who's the linebacker for Kansas City? The All-Pro. Bolton. Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
Let's throw Nick Bolton in there.
Dude is an animal.
So we got Saquon. Because, I mean, if it goes to an offensive player on the Chiefs, it's going to Pat. Unless
you don't think Travis Kelce wins the MVP and then proposes to Taylor Swift and rides off in the sunset?
Wow, I hope not. I think the only way it's not Patrick Mahomes is if Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt have 3+ touchdowns.
Yeah. It would have to. Did Juju win it a few years ago?
No, every year Pat's won it.
Okay.
He's won 3 Super Bowls. He has 3 Super Bowl MVPs.
Yeah, I agree with you. If it's Chiefs offense, it's Pat.
I can see Nick Bolton getting an interception, maybe a fumble recovery, a sack. He's just so impactful.
I think it's the type of game where a defensive player wins it, honestly. But if the Eagles win, it's hard to say it won't be Saquon.
Yeah. But, I mean, if the Eagles win based on defense and Saquon gets shut down, I mean, I think Saquon has to go over 120 in this game for the Eagles to win. But he could also have 20 carries for 43 yards and then actually have 22 carries, and the other 2 carries he had 70 yards, ended up with 140 on the day.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, I think I'm out of impromptu questions.
I think that's a pretty good little list there right there, though. Best players, most important, MVPs, and then Kellen Moore. It all comes down to Kellen Moore, I feel like.
I think a lot of it does. I think Andy's going to bring his A game. Spagnuolo is bringing his A game.
Hey, last time they were in the Super Bowl, they went down to Arizona. Jonathan Gannon was interviewing with Arizona Super Bowl week. Got the Arizona job. Defense had a couple of letdowns late in the game.
Kellen Moore interviewing in New Orleans. Yeah.
We'll see.
But Vic Fangio's bringing his A game. He's a proven coordinator in this league as a top tier guy.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore's the outlier here.
Is Spagnuolo a Hall of Famer?
Do Hall of Famers get in, or do coordinators get in the Hall of Fame?
He tried head coaching.
All right. I like to live by telling the story of the NFL, and I don't think you can tell the story of the NFL without Steve Spagnuolo at this point.
If they win 4 Super Bowls, 5 appearances, just on the Chiefs. Wasn't he defensive coordinator for Giants as well? So he could possibly have 6 rings as the defense coordinator, going to 7 Super Bowls, and I'm sure he's sticking around for as long as they'll have him.
Here it is. If Eli isn't in, Spagnuolo has to be in.
What if Eli is in?
Then Spags is a maybe. But if Eli's not, it's a must.
Somebody has to get credit for those 2 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah, other than Tom Coughlin. I mean, Tom Coughlin's going to get credit, but like Spagnuolo deserves credit if Eli's not getting it.
I agree. And I mean, there's something to be said for just having defenses play the way his defenses play in the playoffs. And maybe you couldn't figure out, but
dude,
he was only head coach once, right?
I mean, we didn't talk about the championship games. Like, that was the most sicko shit I've ever seen. Spagnuolo setting up that blitz literally all game long.
And yeah,
and it's the biggest indictment possible of Sean McDermott, a defensive head coach, to sit here and say, the guy across from you spent all game knowing this was coming down to the end, and he had an answer for the end, and you didn't.
Yep.
Just wild.
He just does it year after year.
Wild.
Yep. All right. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that wraps it. Just excited for Sunday, man.
Let's go, Fat Pat. What are we having? What's on the Super Bowl spread Sunday?
I don't know. Not my house. I'm going to Eagles watch party. So that'll be, I'll be surrounded by Eagles fans. I'll be ready to climb some greased light poles if they win. I'm truly, I am in a win-win situation here because I'm a Pat Mahomes fan as a Texas Tech fan.
I can send you a Patrick Mahomes college jersey.
Nah, that's cool. I don't want to die.
No, it's a Texas Tech jersey. Be like, no, yeah. I'm just a Texas Tech fan.
Yeah, I think they've done stuff to people for less.
You think they you think they figured out that shtick? Do you think they know he went there?
Yeah.
Because
I think they'll just see the name and see red after losing two Super Bowls in 3 years to the guy.
To be fair, I bought the jersey in 8th grade for Michael Crabtree. Doesn't have a name on it.
Oh, okay.
So it's technically a Michael Crabtree jersey.
No, I'll be sitting at my party rooting for the Eagles with everyone else and quietly commenting when the Chiefs do well. Because, hey, I would love to witness Philadelphia in the chaos of winning a Super Bowl. It would be incredible.
You're lying.
It would be incredible.
No, sounds like a terrible time. But all right, we'll see y'all next week after the Chiefs win yet another Super Bowl. And then we'll probably take a little bit of a break, maybe a week or two, start getting into draft time. And then as soon as draft time's over, team previews, which everybody loves. Stick around if you're the Charger fan.
It's gonna be juicy.
It's gonna be juicy if you're the Charger fan. All right. Well, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all later. Go Chiefs. Don't sleep on the Chiefs as favorites.
And when you knock us down, on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.